he's here and that he doesn't mind us disturbing him. He is a senior necromancer. I don't... Oh!
What a marvelous surprise! Any trouble with the lift? Our last guests were stuck for hours, poor souls. Oh. Professor Emmrich Volkarin of the Mourn Watch.
Hello, Professor. We've never met, well, in person, but I've been writing to you.
Belara, my dear girl, what a pleasure. Surely you didn't come all this way just to see me?
Actually, we did. You see, we need a Fade expert.
I'm Rook.
Charmed.
I like that bit with the flaming skull.
It's nothing, really. Just an evocation of the flame of the last steps.
Looks great.
Thank you. You know, I'm never quite sure how these spells strike someone from outside Navarra. I'd be pleased to continue our conversation after I tend to some small business here. I must investigate. Would you two mind accompanying me further into the shrouded halls?
Toward that screaming.
Something's gone awry in this part of the necropolis, Rook. The dead stir more easily than they should.
Something's moving. Up ahead.
Strange. These halls should be under the protection of the bell.
Is that a despair demon?
Fascinating, isn't it? They shouldn't be able to breach the shrouded halls at all.
Take your word for it.
Someone's barred the door and chained the sunken star.
There's undead here.
We may need to defend ourselves depending on their condition. Well done. Past these chambers, we'll find some assistance with reaching the bell. Despair is far more pervasive than I'd thought. We must stop who's ever drawing these spirits here, Rook.
You think a person's behind all the despair demons?
Oh yes. Mortals are their prime attraction. Tell me, Rook, where are you from?
Spend some time in Arlington.
The old elven forest? You must tell me about your journeys once we're above ground. Ah, here we are. This is where we'll learn who summoned these despair spirits.
But how?
You must open yourself to possibilities while in the necropolis. Would you mind lighting those braziers, Rook? Excellent. Approach the body and we'll begin. By seal and flame, who brought despair in our midst? Despair! Who brought it here?
Venatori.
The Venatori. Of course. This way, please.
What did you just do?
The colloquial term is corpse whispering, a gift that manifested with my magic.
Well, there's some luck for you.
Honestly, I've no idea how the other Watchers navigate the necropolis without it.
Emmrich, now what?
Now, the grand necropolis shows itself. Ready and willing.
Well, look at that. No more despair demons.
Pretty impressive.
Thank you. But come, let's ensure these cultists didn't leave anything dangerous behind. I'll ask our attendants to gather their bodies later, of course.
And this is A severed hand.
It can't be. A hand of glory? The Venatori should never have this. I must find out where it came from. Let me know when you'd like to return to the chambers above.
Let's get back to the lighthouse.
You can tell me why you've sought out a Fade expert on the way?
I know it's a lot, but I swear we've seen the blighted elven gods ourselves.
It would explain recent Oniric disruptions.
At the least. The implications of what Rook's witnessed are... Ah, thank you, Manfred.
No one ever brings me tea after I slog through a haunted crypt.
My assistant, Manfred. Always thoughtful.
You spoke of danger to the Fade.
The elven gods plan to tear it wide open to get to the blight, and they've already messed with it. Demons, tears in reality. Our team needs a Fade expert.
Many Watchers never depart Navara. But with events so dire...
I'd be delighted to assist.
It has been many years since you left us.
Well, yes, but elven gods, ancient magics. I couldn't bear miss this. Besides, I've spent my life exploring the Fade and speaking to spirits. If Rook needs an expert, none are better qualified than I.
Only if your assistant's coming.
Manfred? But of course.
Welcome aboard.
Wonderful. I'll gather my things. Come, Manfred.
A third edition of the Unnameable Elements? I didn't even know it had editions.
Oh, it's much improved with the index. Please, borrow it if you'd like.
I'd love to. Oh, Rook. You probably wanted to say hi. Thanks, Professor.
You look moved in.
Just a few essentials. Manfred was a great help with the boxes. What a fascinating place this lighthouse is. What do you make of it?
I think I like it better with a necromancer in the place.
Do you?
Especially one with experience.
I must be sure to live up to expectations.
Did you get the tour yet?
Oh, I've been exploring, but I noticed a few of the others taken aback by Manfred, and I overheard remarks about my skulls. My necromancy won't cause any undue worry, will it?
We're still getting used to one another.
True, and yet...
Give it time. We'll settle in.
Please excuse me. Manfred and I should finish our inventory. Thank you for stopping by. I'm sorry, but I find it completely unnatural.
I don't get why you think cremation's so bad. Everyone outside Navara burns their dead.
All those lost vessels, fine mansions reduced to ash. Manfred, for instance, how would his wisp have fared if I hadn't given it a body?
Where or who'd you get his body from?
There was no single donor. The arms were recovered from a charnel pit. The ribs were a gift from a dear friend. And Manfred's wisp picked out his own skull from some donations. That was quite the day. He's been fine company during my necropolis excursions ever since.
What does Manfred understand exactly?
Simple things, but he grows. Spirits of curiosity are voracious learners. The more he experiences, the more sophisticated his conclusions. With guidance, of course.
Yep. Same to you.
It's just Manfred's way of saying hello. I encountered him as a wisp in the necropolis years ago. A simple spirit, but so curious, he refused to leave my side.
So, you built a skeleton for the spirit to live in?
Spirits are formed from the emotions and desires of people in the mortal realm. Manfred's wisp came from curiosity. It's these spirits which animate the dead. Their drive revives the corpse, yet the corpse colors their actions. Thus, the eternal question, are undead inhuman spirits puppeting a body, or does some shade of the departed return?
I can't answer that. Can you?
I've come to believe there is a return. I swear I could see it sometimes, Rook. A glint of recognition of something more in the dead.
Hey, that's my sleeve. Are you trying to steal my buttons?
As well as a certain mischievousness. Manfred. Thank you again for coming. My duties include tending to these rites of remembrance. Excellent. Manfred found his way down. Very good, Manfred.
He sounds excited.
I thought we'd start the rites here. A tableau of the dead, commissioned 173 years ago. These lives were flickers against the ages, precious, fragile, and finite. Now they serve as a warning. Don't linger overlong in the gloom. Live with grace and fervor while you may.
No one's going to seize the day for you.
Just so. That one's livelier. Here. Who were you when you breathed above?
This body was a tailor's, a mother's. She laughed and taught and wove the robes kings wore when they were crowned.
Someone must realign her thoracic vertebrae. I hope the novices are inspecting the displays.
Seems disrespectful to abandon something you built.
Precisely. No wonder there's been an uptick in hauntings.
Wait, what?
Let's continue.
So, what now?
We light candles in remembrance of the dead. Would you care to light the candle, Rook? Look at this. The last tomb of the Tannhausens. A very influential family in the Storm Age.
We broke the bones of dragons.
A posthumous motto. Their last heir met his match against a Highland Ravager.
Death by dragon. Surprised there was enough to bury.
Do you know, I never expected that the door we found back in the Vault of the Beloved would lead here.
So, the necropolis actually shuffles its rooms around?
From time to time. Very unlikely to happen while we're inside a chamber. Could you light the next candle? Aha! One of my favorite flowers! A variegated weeping widower.
You know your plants?
Alchemy is my hobby. It's a break from teaching spirit calling and theoretical applied metaphysics.
Right. Just on the side.
This way, Rook.
You're right about the gardens being peaceful.
The necropolis has its dangers, but these places are a refuge for the dead.
How many people are buried here anyway?
Excellent question. We rarely should take a new census. You'll need to light these candles as well. Open your hearts to the final day, companion of all the ages. I was pleasantly surprised by your respect for our undead tableau earlier, Rook. I'm beginning to think people outside Navarra find the necropolis a little unnerving.
Well, veil jumpers appreciate the importance of history.
The spirits gather. Only a few more candles. Follow me. Ah, look here.
Hi. Should I say hi?
It's curious about you. We're also enjoying the gardens, but we've one last ritual ahead. On your way, my friend.
Spirits really are your specialty.
I've always had a rapport with them. Even as a child, they were my companions.
After you started training here?
After I was orphaned.
Oh.
A collapsed building, swift deaths. After the funeral, the Watchers took me in.
Belated condolences, if that's worth anything.
Always. We move on, as we must, but those long nights linger about the shadows.
How did you deal with it?
I didn't. When I first arrived here, I was terrified.
And you still joined the Watchers?
They're what saved me. Come, the next set of graves lies ahead. Please, light the next candles if you would. There's much to recommend about the rhythm of a ceremony. It eases our worst hours. As a boy, the Watcher's rituals were exactly what I needed to steady my days with purpose.
And some death magic?
Well, every young mage needs a speciality. All this pageantry, this magnificent gloom and its rites, I ask you, Rook, what is it for?
It's gotta be the living, right?
Yes, exactly. This place is an abundance of history, of magic, of memories. The Watchers preserve it so the living may draw comfort from those who've gone before. We must get to the candle, please, Manfred.
You told Harding that Manfred used to be a wisp until you gave him a body.
Yes, he's taken so well to it. Haven't you, Manfred? Here are the last candles you'll need to light. Once you're ready, we'll need to ring the bell. Let the rites be acknowledged. Our bonds seen and sealed. We honor the listening spirits.
Hail from the abyss.
We witness, good Watcher, faith kept in all our paths.
What was...
The necropolis hosts many spirits. We thank these guardians for their protection and friendship. We'll need to ring the bell once more to close out the departing ceremony.
So you were really afraid of this place as a child?
It wasn't the necropolis itself, but what was draped around it.
Have you ever been frightened by the thought of dying, Rook?
I try not to think much about the big end.
It wasn't a choice for me when I was younger. That's when I discovered I possess a great terror of dying. It goes beyond dread. Can't be reasoned with or soothed over. It comes without warning. In the dead of night, in sunlit streets, a raw, strangling fear struck somewhere deep past the heart.
That's an issue for a necromancer.
Oddly, I discovered I wasn't alone. I debated this fear with friends. I argued with teachers. Yet, it lingered. Manfred's right. That's maudlin enough. There are struggles, but a watcher should always find peace amongst the graves. And what sort of host would I be if we didn't end with some light refreshment?
Did you set all this up to make a good impression?
Of course not. I was only...
Because it's working.
Then it's my pleasure to share the tranquility of this place with you. With all my regards, but I don't want them to think me homesick.
Hi, Emmrich.
Rook, hello. Just composing a few letters. The other Watchers have been most interested in our adventures.
So, I've heard people call necromancers mortalitasi. What's the difference between them and the Mourn Watch?
Oh, all Navaran necromancers are mortalitasi. The Watchers are a special order within them.
Very fancy.
We've certain privileges and attendant responsibilities.
What's the Mourn Watch do?
Our first duty is safekeeping the Grand Necropolis and preparing the funerary dead. Another is stopping misuse of dark magic and necromancy.
Must keep you busy.
Not often, but on occasion.
What's the Grand Necropolis like?
Its majesty has stilled the tongues of kings and queens. It's a haven for spirits and the dead, a vast well of history, the duty and shelter of every watcher. We who serve it are pledged to an eternal vigil.
What do Watchers, watch for?
There are stranger and more dangerous things than spirits in the Fade, Rook. The Watchers stand against them when their shadows rise.
Anything lately?
A few portents I cannot put down solely to the chaos of the elven gods, but nothing definitive. Perhaps only shivers in the void.
I couldn't help overhearing the word homesick.
Oh, I'm fine. Completely absorbed in our venture. But if I were home, I'd be preparing for new students or requests to speak to the dead.
Can people just ask you to show up for some corpse whispering?
Oh, nothing official. There are very few of us, but we help here and there. Questioning a victim of murder, clearing up disputed wills, and sometimes fetching back last words from a loved one.
You can get anything out of the dead and they just let you leave Navarra.
My gift has limitations. The dead only know what they did in life. What was clear under the sun is sometimes blurred when I revive them.
Makes sense.
Honestly, some conversations aren't worth the trouble. Death encourages obstinacy.
You didn't stop teaching just to be with us, did you?
I'm long overdue for a sabbatical. Besides, do you know how many students the faculty wanted in my class next season? 10! How's one meant to tailor separate lessons for 10 pupils at a time? Honestly.
Good to chat. I'll let you get back to your letter.
Before you go, I wanted to thank you for your company in the Memorial Gardens. There's another ceremony I have to perform there. If you'd like to visit again. Not yet, but soon.
You know I can't turn down spending more time with you.
How lovely to hear you say so. I'll always be glad to show you around the tombs, my dear. At your pleasure.
I'll take you up on that.
Wonderful. Until then. I can't believe you're asking for a favor as though nothing's happened.
What crapped in your bed?
Sorry, didn't know you two were in the
Rook.
middle of...
Excellent. Come in. We could use a second sober voice.
I'm not drunk. You're drunk.
It's a figure of speech.
Taash?
I didn't do anything.
Oh, come now.
I need one of these little needle things to dig some crap out of my armor. Death Mage won't give me one.
First, a bone threader is an extremely delicate instrument. Second, it's Emmrich. Taash, my name is Emmrich, not Death Mage, not Corpse Guy, not... I won't repeat the rest.
What? You are a Death Mage.
Why are all my attempts to converse with you met with scorn? What have I done to you, Taash?
You talk about corpses too much.
It's a rich topic.
No, corpses are messed up. They used to have people in them. You make a move like they're alive, but they smell wrong and they move wrong, and none of it is okay.
Oh.
Especially the ones with skin still on them.
So what I'm hearing is... Taash isn't into terrifying dark magic.
It's not all terrifying.
And Emmrich would appreciate not being bullied and called names.
Ugh. Fine.
I'd no idea necromancy upset you so deeply, Taash. Quite honestly, I didn't think you feared anything.
I don't. But I could have said it was bugging me. I didn't think you cared what I thought.
Of course I do. We're colleagues on this journey.
Okay. Sorry I called you a liker. Skull liker.
You two could still learn things together you'd never find out alone. Emmrich, you clearly find talking about dragons boring.
What? How? Who doesn't like dragons?
Aren't you curious why Taash likes them as much as you like necromancy?
The question crossed my mind.
And maybe Emmrich could help demystify magic, Taash.
Maybe he could share a little. So I know how to deal with walking corpses next time I'm in an old ruin.
I'd be happy to.
Thought you might be. Hi, Emmrich. You've got a guest.
Ah, Rook. You remember the Hand of Glory?
Hard to forget. You figure out what those Venatori who broke into the necropolis were doing with it.
The hand is how they broke in. The simpler undead are blind to its bearer when its tapers are lit. Sadly, only a death mage could have provided them with this forbidden necromancy.
If they're helping the Venatori, that has to stop.
Agreed. I've made some inquiries. This man is one of the death mage's victims. If he knows where this rogue necromancer is hiding, my corpse whispering will give us the answer.
Floor's all yours.
It shouldn't take long. I must warn you, it will be harder to coax answers from this poor man than from the dead I spoke to in the necropolis. Let flame rekindle your sight. Let breath and light rise again. Who did this to you?
Eyes hidden, dust and gold.
Give us a name.
They come for this one. The spirits shriek. They come.
A name?
Blackthorne.
Return to your rest.
Not a flinch. You really know what you're doing.
Experience is the greatest teacher, and an open heart to what the spirits need.
I bet not every necromancer looks so dapper when they're working, though.
You choose the most extraordinary moments for compliments.
Is that bad?
Quite the opposite.
Back to the topic. Does Blackthorne mean anything to you?
Blackthorne Manor is an abandoned country house outside Navarra City. Our victim mentioned spirits. If they've also fallen prey to forbidden magic, they'll need our help as well. Let's depart for Blackthorne when you're ready. I'd like to speak to the necromancer behind all this.
So, Blackthorne Manor. Let's hope that necromancer working with the Venatori is around.
There's a malaise amongst the spirits here. Some form of confinement. This must be the place.
Right. So, why do we bring that?
Oh, it's essential we have the Hand of Glory.
It is so hard not to make fun of something called a Hand of Glory.
What's so amusing about it?
Really? You don't? With the name? Nope, never mind.
The magic laid upon a Hand of Glory is complex. Whoever killed its donor left their mark.
So it'll lead us to whoever cut it off?
Precisely. Most likely the necromancer who's been helping the Venatori. It would have taken extraordinary skill to layer the involutions on this artifact. What a waste of talent.
I like how passionate you are about your work.
Death is one of the primordial forces. It breaks bonds as it lays the ground for the new. At times, there's something stirring about the elegance of it.
That's quite a way of putting things.
I always choose my words carefully. Forbidden necromancy can twist spirits. We must find this death mage and stop whatever they've done to them.
Late as always, Professor.
It can't be.
But what else would one expect from Navarra's most eminent meddler?
Johanna Hezenkoss!
You've met?
Oh, the Professor and I have known each other for ages. But only one of us realized the Watchers are no place for a mage with ambition.
So she's an evil watcher. That's great.
Only if she's beyond hope.
Spare me your sanctimonious bleating.
No. The stone knife in that lantern could permanently tear open the Fade here.
Correct. Only the foolhardy would shed blood near it in this state. So, let the Watchers mourn your pathetic death in the Fade, Emmrich Volkarin. Those that are left after my return. So you crawled your way out of the Fade?
It's not difficult for those who treat spirits better than tools to an end, Johanna.
Sentimental drivel. You may have stopped my work here, but Navarra City will know its new ruler.
Look, that lantern's dangerous. Why don't we talk about this?
Dangerous to those who fail to realize what can be done with it! Though the professor clearly avoided mentioning his old colleague in exile.
We made every attempt to bring you to reason.
I gave you every chance to join me instead of whining endlessly about your mortality. But I must thank you for returning something dear to me. Lovely to have my hand back. I'd exchanged it with the Venatori for some favors after entering this condition.
Johanna, what have you done?
What you never had the courage to.
Oh, the Song of the Chambers won't have anything on what Johanna's... Perhaps the Waking Scrolls? No. Manfred, have you seen the Felmarch manuscripts?
You and Manfred need an extra pair of eyes for whatever this is?
I suppose it's time I explained this mess. Johanna Hezenkoss was a watcher. She was banished for embracing the darker paths of our art. Forbidden magic, blood sacrifice, nothing is beyond her if it leads to power, recognition, or both.
Sounded like you knew her before all that.
We were friends, once.
If it helps, you've got someone who cares right next to you.
That's very dear of you, but I'll be fine.
It's so cute how you're such a bad liar.
Things used to be much better between Johanna and me. She truly was brilliant, and we got on so well as students. We partnered on papers, rituals, research. Yet even then, Johanna considered the Watcher's oaths quaint. This isn't the first time we've crossed paths since she was exiled, but now I fear she's turned herself partly undead.
I'm having trouble picturing how someone becomes partly undead.
A skilled watcher can make subtle alterations. Hers are more extensive. You saw Johanna's Lantern of Unwilling Souls. A necromancer could create monstrous undead with that much stolen life.
Hezenkoss was yelling a lot about conquering Navarra City.
We must stop her, Rook. Thank you, Manfred. Quite right. The Order's knowledge will see us through. How thoughtful, Rook. Ah, hello there. Just admiring how carefully the Fade is woven into this place, as cultivated as a palace garden.
That's old elven stuff for you. Magic everywhere you look, and also where you don't.
I do envy you, Rook.
Really?
Oh, consider all the secrets you must have uncovered in Arlathan with the Veil Jumpers. Not to mention traveling with Varric. The adventures you've already had.
You cut a pretty intriguing figure yourself. Do you really think of me as some grand adventurer?
Well, something thrills at traveling with a dashing young man who's racing to stop an apocalypse, especially if he's shown unexpected interest in a new companion.
Well, the distinguished looks don't hurt your chances.
I'm fortunate you think so. May I show you something of the Greater Fade here?
Go ahead.
Close your eyes. Take a breath. Slow, deep. Be born on the great currents. See now as they see. When I talk to the dead, their echoes abide with me. Thoughts and passions, hopes and desires. The shades of death have greater depths than you may know, Rook. If your attentions go beyond charming flattery, that would interest me, indeed.
I think they already...
You finished the reagent. Excellent work, Manfred. I must tend to this, but I'd be delighted if we found each other later.
Careful with that.
But of course.
It's the only lead I've got.
My dear Davrin, I'll be as careful with this cloth as if it were burial silk from the Storm Age. And this will be so instructive for Manfred. Ah, Rook, just in time.
Is that a good thing?
We have something of a mystery.
That piece of cloth I tore off the Gloomhowler back at the cauldron still has some of its blood on it.
And now, through the application of necromancy, perfected by the Mourn Watch through years of meticulous...
Yeah, we're trying to figure out what the Gloomhowler is.
Rather, discern its nature.
How?
By setting it on fire?
Patience. To discern, one must sometimes destroy. Ah, yes, of course. How interesting.
What is it?
It says this was elven blood. This was a person.
What? But it howls.
A corrupted person. Not always a monster. And something else. Deathsel. I'm unfamiliar with the meaning.
An elven word for covenant, like a promise or a blood oath. I think I get it. An elf who took a vow, then gets blighted. An elf who knew about griffins and warden's secrets.
Almost as if...
It was a warden.
I know this is bad, but it means we have a lead.
Yes, but one that points within.
If Weishaupt knew about it, they never told me. Something else is going on here. I'll put out the word, call in favors, see who might know more. But thanks for your help, Emmrich. You, discerned well.
My pleasure. Now, what do you have to say for yourself?
Did I miss something?
Since we're here to gather flowers for the dead, I thought I'd teach Manfred some plant names. But I just caught him attempting to wade into a rose bush.
Emmrich, how could you stay annoyed at that face? Skull.
Oh, Manfred. Whatever will happen to you if I pass on.
If?
There's something I'd like to talk about. Do you know what a lich is, Rook?
Doesn't ring a bell?
A lich is a mage transformed into one of the undead while retaining their true, original consciousness. The idea fascinated me when I was younger. For years, I researched and experimented, spoke with spirits and mages. Then, eventually, I found them.
Who?
The Lich Lords of the Grand Necropolis. Necromancers before me who'd transformed themselves into true living dead.
You think that's good?
I was their first living petitioner in some time. The Liches are the great protectors of the necropolis, bulwarks against forces that threaten creation. After years of tests and rituals, they granted me my desire, the right to attempt lichdom.
Hold on. If you become a lich, then all this flirting we've been doing...
I should hate to lose your company while I'm still mortal.
What would you being a lich be like?
A vast leap. Flesh cast aside for bone, returned immortal for all time.
That sounds like a lot to take on.
Oh, I'd inform you before making any decisions to... questions of lichdom are... Lichdom is an incredible honor. Immortality, prestige, the most hallowed ranks of the Watchers, as well as a chance to be of service past my allotted years. But there are considerations. Come, we have flowers to gather for the dead.
Okay, but I've got questions.
Blue creepvine. This will do nicely.
Emmrich, aren't most undead just random spirits inside corpses?
Liches are different. It wouldn't be a spirit acting in my name. My true consciousness would be housed in my departed flesh.
How?
The Order must keep some secrets. Moon blossoms, famed in verse and song.
Smells like perfume. Do liches have a sense of smell?
I've been told that while some of my senses will dull, others will become available. Other than that, I can't say if the flowers would still hold their bloom for me. Lichdom serves a purpose. There are dark things in creation, threats to both our world and the Fade. The Liches of the Necropolis have the insight and the abilities to oppose them.
And you're joining them when?
Certain elements have held me back. There's no ready instructions for lichdom. The steps must be discovered on one's own over years to be fully understood.
Does the spell to become a lich kill you, or do you have to...
No, mercifully, that falls to another Watcher. After my death, my soul will be drawn back into my body instead of moving on to whatever lies beyond.
So, what's holding you back from lichdom?
Even with all my preparations, there's a chance I could die permanently during the rites. What cowardice! A promise of immortality, an end to all my fears, and the final veil stays my hand.
That's reasonable. Lots of people are afraid of dying.
Is it? when it keeps me from what I most desire? Traditionally, candidates for lichdom face one final sifting of the soul. If they avoid it, you saw my old colleague.
Hezenkoss? She's a lich.
A half-lich, though that hasn't diminished her powers. Until I stop her plans, I won't possess the peace of mind for lichdom. Why don't you select the next flowers, Rook?
Sure. So, what's a half-lich exactly?
Johanna attempted the rites of lichdom and failed. Stuck in her in-between state, she is supremely dangerous, but can't learn any new magic.
No wonder Hezenkoss was shouting so much. What about the sifting of a soul that Hezenkoss avoided?
The spirits of the necropolis judge whether a candidate is worthy of the power and responsibility of lichdom.
How'd she become a lich without it?
I shared some knowledge when we were colleagues. She apparently put together more than I knew. It would be just like her to skip the rituals, the cleansings, the preparations of the soul.
For a watcher, Hezenkoss is pretty harsh on spirits.
We made allowances because of her discoveries. Too many. Spirits are not things to be disposed of.
You really care about them.
They're so susceptible to the world's whims, Rook. Some spirits are dangerous, but how quickly most respond to a bit of kindness or care, or simple attempt to understand. For all she's done, I can't condemn Johanna for attempting lichdom. That freedom from mortality, that divorce from fear, and of course, time to read all of one's books.
Every mage's dream.
But how she's abused her abilities. Are my intentions enough to fare better?
Worrying's a good sign.
We have enough flowers. There's something I'd like to show you. Here we are.
Oh, so these flowers are for...
Yes. If you could place them on the graves, please.
In memory of Rupert and Eleanora Volkarin. They walk eternity hand in hand.
After I became a watcher, I erected a proper shrine to my parents. When I come to talk, I like to think they listen. Well, don't be shy. Introduce yourself.
Rook, it's a pleasure. Do you remember your parents?
Some memories are bright. Others are akin to those dim early morning dreams one gets sometimes. Lately, I've wondered what they'd think of our current course, the choices ahead.
Your lichdom.
What would they have wanted me to be?
Happy with someone who cares for you.
Shroud's Kiss. I've always loved the legend around this flower. They say it grows on lovers' graves, and that one moves closer to the Fade simply by inhaling its fragrance.
Is that true?
It is when I will it, my dear.
What else?
What a day of unexpected splendor.
I I don't understand why you're bringing so many books.
Well, I don't see what your objections are to my taking a canopy.
We're only going for 2 days.
You've hardly brought more than a flask and a bedroll.
Sorry, how many books are you packing for whatever this is, Emmrich?
Only a handful. Nothing irreplaceable, of course.
8. When will you have time to read 8 books? Emmrich wants to see more of Ferelden, so we're going camping. But he's treating it like we're going to an academic thing.
An expedition can have its earthly comforts.
You want to bring a shaving kit in the woods.
My dear Harding, a gentleman is never without a brush and a razor.
The whole point of going to the wilds is to get away from all that. So what if you get muddy and smell a little bad?
One can enjoy the scenery while remembering to bathe.
Emmrich, you always look good, and you can tell me all about the trip when you get back.
Of course, darling. It is only 2 days after all.
Exactly. So why are you packing a dressing gown? I don't understand the gown.
Harding, do you need to be so stringent when you're camping?
Yes, because you have to carry all the gear yourself. Up the mountain, across the creeks and things.
Don't you carry any luxuries yourself?
I bring my writing kit.
Aha!
Fine. Maybe your umbrella could come in handy.
I really have looked forward to you showing me more of your home, Harding.
Me too. Oh, and I'll make us sandwiches.
Ah, your famous ham and jam slam?
Well, yam and jam slam because you don't eat meat. So I'll use yams.
How thoughtful. Thank you, Harding. How did you find everything?
Best meal I've had in a graveyard.
One advantage of being senior staff is requisitioning the kitchen's better cooks.
You did that just for me?
I'd hoped the evening might impress. The amount of work on you worries me, Rook. Responsibility exacts a toll on the body.
I have been more tired lately.
More so than you might even realize. I do ask that you at least avoid putting pressure on that stiff left wrist.
It's a little stiff. Impressed you spotted it.
Well, I am familiar with the finer points of anatomy. It's good we made time for this. A couple should get to know one another in comfort.
Time to dig into our feelings?
I'd be delighted if the mood moves you.
Devastating charm aside, what do you like about me?
Apart from the compliment of your interest?
Come on.
Darling, it's gratifying a fresh-faced adventurer noticed me at all. And your spirit does charm, but there's also something quite indomitable about you, Rook. It inspires.
Oh, thanks. What's your favorite color?
Well, can I only choose one?
Let me guess. Black? Green? Yellow, but like, bone yellow?
Lilac.
Of course you went to a flower.
It's such a pretty shade of purple. It brings thoughts of spring. And what's your favorite shade of color?
It's white.
White's not a color.
Fine. It's my favorite non-color. White like fresh snow or lilies or the moon.
Well, the imagery is lovely.
This is one of the more romantic dates I've been on.
How wonderful. I was afraid I'd lost my touch. Between work and research and teaching Manfred, There hasn't been time lately for company.
How lately?
No one's serious for a few years. Apart from that, I'd prefer we leave the past be.
All right. Stay a man of mystery. Anyway, should we enjoy the garden?
Certainly. They're wondering what we're up to. Wisps are ever attracted to the gardens.
Like you?
The Fade is close here. As are spirits I count as guides and friends. Beyond that, I feel there are mysteries past our comprehension. Something beyond the weft of magic or deepest Fade. When I'm fortunate, I spy suggestions of them here.
You're so philosophical around flowers.
It's the purpose of the gardens, to lift our thoughts to something higher and finer than we are.
Like that?
Sometimes, my dear, I think you indulge me.
When I'm in the mood.
Trust me, it's her. And we're lucky. If someone found the body before us, she would have been cremated.
Ugh, I'll never understand that custom.
What are you two up to?
Rook, it's very exciting. Neve's invited me to help solve a murder.
Well, if anyone's going to gather clues from the dead.
I helped the Navaran city guard a few times, but a long-lost crime from the heart of Tevinter.
Let's not oversell it. You ready?
By the flame that stoked you, by the light that rises. Return and speak.
What do you want of this one?
You were a shadow dragon. Someone took you out.
She's already digging in. Be firm.
Why should this one speak?
For a chance to right some wrongs.
One last time.
Speak with no promise of answer.
You helped get people out of the city. Who was the last person you took?
No. Secret. This one's to protect.
They're clinging to a role, keeping secrets.
Fine. Then tell me who killed you. Did you see their face?
Their name gives the other away.
If they came for you, then they're coming for whoever you helped escape.
Neve knows what she's talking about. You can trust her.
Your final task will be for naught, unless you aid us.
This one saw the murderer's face. Piranhas. His son wanted out for Black Mage family. This one got the son to Asariel. Help him.
The shadow dragons will get him to safety.
Thank you.
The spirit has left us. Thank you for trusting me with one of your dead.
Wouldn't leave that to just anyone. You're a different story. Thanks for the help.
Anytime.
The voices again.
But surely the knowledge you gained.
My champions offer themselves willingly. More works of precision laid low before finding their full potential.
You will have new subjects in recompense, whatever you wish.
Rook's necromancer. An excellent subject to test how long one could go back and forth between life and death.
Inspired. Consider it done.
Don't listen to her, dearest. It won't come to that.
If they touch you, death will be the least of their problems. Mana, hello. I assume Vorgoth's not far.
We have her, Rook. We have her. We know exactly what she's planning.
The professor asked us to research the artifact that came into the possession of Johanna Hezenkoss.
She carries a gloaming lantern.
That bad as it sounds?
They were fashioned in ages past by unscrupulous necromancers. The lanterns steal and concentrate life.
Johanna could use it to leech life from hundreds at a time. An endless source of power.
Sounds overcomplicated and like it could blow up in her face.
Oh, there's nothing Johanna will not risk for her ambitions. But we've found her.
She has returned to Blackthorne Manor.
Hezenkoss intends to hold a soiree.
That can't be her whole plan.
No, but I propose a small group infiltrate Johanna's lair while she's distracted and destroy her lantern.
Let's do it.
Vorgoth and I must return to the necropolis.
Hunt well.
If only we could make Johanna see reason.
You tried before. She seems stubborn.
Perhaps that's why she attained immortality, while I quake on the threshold. If I make my own bid for lichdom. Oh, it's no use pretending this hasn't stirred up that old dread of my own mortality.
I'm always here to talk about it. You know that, right?
It's a comfort, darling. Truly, but... Oh, Johanna was never beset by these sort of fears.
Little fear's healthy. You'll feel better once we crash her lair and destroy that lantern. Promise.
Oh my! A body from the house of the Verheims, prepared during the Storm Age.
You're adorable when you get excited about things like this.
Well, who wouldn't be, darling? Such a rare find.
Time to find Hezenkoss. He's all yours, Emmrich.
By flame and seal, by light and flood, open your eyes once more.
Who dares disturb?
Friends to the dead.
Friends, this one was abandoned, lost.
Emmrich, it's getting noisy.
He's unusually obstinate. Speak! Where is Hezenkoss?
Prove yourselves. What claim have you to the deceased? A willing dead companion. This one concedes. Hezenkoss makes a thing that should not be. Red tapestry. Look there.
Rook, did you hear that? Manfred just...
I know. Also, we should move.
What's that, Volkarin? Afraid to chance death for your precious spirits? For all your fine words on the subject, only I had the courage to risk my life for our art.
He's still got twice your backbone.
I see Volkarin somehow did net himself a paramour.
Johanna! Listen to me! You're right. I've never overcome fear of that final dark. I miss having a friend that could.
Yes. Always the idealist.
I'm sorry lichdom failed you. I swear I would have helped you had you come to me. But puppeting this creature...
Puppet? Puppet? Do you think I'm staying a failed lich? I won't command my greatest creation! I will become it! Scoffing colleagues, interfering Templars, inept rivals, you all have a place in my heart. And tonight you will fuel my ascension at the cost of your miserable lives.
Move!
You think you can stop me? Once I get rid of you, I will merge with my greatest work and conquer this city!
Emmrich, can she do that?
Yes! She's attempting full possession with the life of the people here.
We need to stop Hezenkoss long enough to destroy that lantern.
Is that much life inside it? The backlash.
We don't have a choice.
Once I destroy you, wretches, my union with my creation will be complete. I'll crush you myself if I must. It's touching that you brought your new friends to die with you, Volkarin. I'll be sure to bury you and your new lover in the same tomb.
This isn't working. We can't break the lantern.
You think I'd leave myself vulnerable to you? Enough playing! Your pointless lives will fuel my triumph!
We have to move! She's draining life from us. We must find shelter.
Right. You can't free the spirits in that lantern.
It might kill me and not even work. No living thing can approach it and... Manfred! Come back!
Any last words, Volkarin, before I... You miserable little...
Manfred!
Manfred knew you could do this. So do I.
By the spirits bound here, night and shadow, light and blood.
What are you doing?
Let your chains loosen. Let the fade draw close.
You'll never succeed, you old fool!
I release you to the air.
No! You small-minded...
Emmrich, how's Manfred holding together?
We must go to the necropolis. His body could only take so much.
But I underestimated him, Rook. What bravery in the heart of the dead. And how he grew. Manfred disobeyed me beautifully. He was his own soul at the end.
Can you bring him back?
I will ask.
Emmrich Volkarin. You were not expected so soon.
If I can do anything to help.
Thank you. But this must come from me. My lord, I come regarding Manfred, my fallen companion.
Yes, there are ways to return his spirit. But should you do this, Lichdom falls from your grasp.
What? Why?
Lichdom is long. If I'm to stand outside death, I must make peace with others passing through it.
What would we otherwise become? How many exceptions till tyranny? Revive him and remain mortal. Or let him slumber and join us.
Emmrich.
Manfred chose to help us. Am I too weak to accept his well-earned rest? I yearn for Lichdom, Rook. I'd leap into something greater, that everlasting light. Do I revive him and live out my days? Or do I honor death by letting him rest and protect this world through immortality?
Mortality's a hard price, but you'd miss Manfred.
Oh, of course I would. But a Watcher should be more accepting of loss, of grief, of his own death in turn.
You're braver than you know, Emmrich. You've always risked your life. Against Hezenkoss, against the gods.
Death's abyss always recedes with someone to brave it for.
I think facing a lot of things would be easier if Manfred was back.
Oh, he was fearless. He has so much potential, Rook. So far to grow.
Then help him do it.
You're absolutely right. I'll need your help. Rest easy, Manfred. We'll soon have you back amongst the living.
Okay, Emmrich. How's this work?
We'll need assistance finding Manfred's wisp and drawing it back into his body. By pact and pledge, I seek an audience. By light and breath, let wisdom come.
You two?
Allow me to give you their full and proper names, the keepsake of ages and far-sighted curio.
There has got to be a story behind those names.
Why, yes. It began many and many mortal ages ago.
Yet things aren't so slow we should dwell on that with guests here.
Friends, my assistant, my ward, Manfred, sacrificed himself to save us.
We'd heard you'd abandoned Lichdom to bring him back. Your work, your dreams.
You paid the price. But it seems there are many flickers of curiosity in the Fade.
And only one you seek. Draw his wisp near. Speak.
Can I help?
Yes, please. Think of Manfred. Tell me something you felt about him. Concentrate.
He was always excited to be around you, Emmrich. If spirits can learn to love, he loved you.
In the sea of the Fade, there are wakes left by our passing. Our desires, our fears. I leave this beacon for you, Manfred. Follow my voice. Return to me, please. Manfred?
It worked.
That's wonderful! That's wonderful indeed!
Thanks for stitching that seam on my coat, Fred. It was coming loose. And nice new threads yourself.
Thank you.
Yes, we needed something to mark him as an apprentice around the necropolis.
It's a good fit. See you around.
Yes.
Oh, you know what to call me. Okay, bring it down now.
He's excited for his training. Manfred's spellcraft is coming along nicely, more or less. Some undead have the potential to cast magic. I believe his was unlocked by his journey through the Fade.
What was that like?
Dunno.
You mean you don't know?
Dunno.
We must work on that enunciation. Why don't you fetch the primer?
There goes our magic-flinging skeleton son.
Well, I wouldn't go so far. Certainly I've a responsibility to educate him, and he'll need moral guidance. Most spirits do. But did you know, yesterday he said the most amusing thing while...
He's got your eyes.
As he grows, Manfred will better learn to take care of himself. I won't worry so much when I pass on.
How do you feel about that last part?
I have moments of regret for what Lichdom might have been. But none would make me exchange this for anything. Darling, I'm just finishing reviewing my bequeathments. It made me consider a topic I must broach. The eve before we kill a god, my thoughts turn to mortality and what we are to each other.
All right.
Even under the best circumstances, you will outlive me, Rook. You've grown to mean much to me, and I care for you, Rook. Deeply. But there are such years between us, I shouldn't heap you with that burden.
I get it. You're scared because you love me.
What?
It's fine to say it.
I can't... At my...
You're older than me, I get it.
I'm perfectly serious.
So am I. Why are you making this such a big deal?
One of us has to pay attention to these things.
One of us needs the guts to say how he feels. Look, let's pack. Eve before we face a god, right?
As you say. Don't start.
Why does Emmrich have to... I mean, I know he's just...
Rook, darling, I wanted to say...
Yeah, about that argument.
It's no time to apologize, is it?
We'll talk back home, Emmrich. I promise.
Did we have to risk visiting the necropolis?
I needed its subtler enchantments to detect what we must know. There's no mark of the cursed Solus left on you. Darling, I thought I'd lost you forever in the Fade.
I'm fine, Emmrich. It's all over.
Only because you had the presence of mind to push forward. If things had gone differently...
I still wouldn't have let them keep us apart.
My love, you are the most remarkable person I've ever known.
I did have someone to come back to.
Rook? I was going to fetch some breakfast. Would you like anything? Come again?
What time is it?
It's nearly dawn. I've been up for an hour.
How come?
It's when I normally wake up.
On purpose? Peaceful down here. You could almost pretend nothing's wrong up top.
When I'm with you, it feels as if there isn't.
We could stay here just a little longer.
What are you... If you insist. Oh, it is purest relief to see us all gathered safe and sound. We reunited with Balara. What that poor girl has been through, and she's still returned to the fray. Ghilan'nain must fear what we might accomplish once we storm his tower.
To come this far, only to fail at the last minute. The irony will kill me before Ghilan'nain can.
Ghilan'nain will be formidable, but it's Solus who truly worries me. He is, however, a former spirit. As such, Solus cannot help but listen to appeals to his nature, his yearning for reflection.
I could try talking him down once I find him.
We should depart soon, dearest. How I wish we were already safely home together. I love you, my darling Rook.
If I lost you, Be careful out there, Emmrich.
Promise me you'll do the same.
I promise.
I'd no idea we'd be drawn together when we first met. No man alive is more fortunate than I. Speak the word, Rook, and I shall stand by your side.